Hello again, friends. It's Miss Holmes here, coming to you from my happy place, my beautiful kindergarten classroom, room C2, right here at Jack London Elementary School, also known as home of the cutest little class in town. And before I read another Halloween treat for you, I need to remind you that I still need your help, friends. I need you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you could do that right now, go ahead, just push that subscribe button below. And by doing that, you will support me and help me so that I can keep reading all these amazing stories and sharing them with lovers of literature everywhere, from littles to bigs alike. The story I want to read to you today is titled Teeny Witch and the Great Halloween Ride. And this book is written by Liz Matthews, and it's illustrated by Carolyn Lowe. Now remember, friends, I always tell my students, before you read a new book, turn it over and see if the author has included a sneak peek on the back. And he has. It says, Teeny Witch and her 3 silly aunts bring laughter, whatever the season. Young readers will delight in sharing the fun of the holidays and other special events in this warm and humorous series. And there are a lot of Teeny Witch books for different holidays, friends. But today we're going to read this one about Halloween, the Great Halloween Ride. Teeny Witch and the Great Halloween Ride by Liz Matthews, illustrated by Carolyn Lowe. Wow, cried Teeny Witch in surprise. This is the biggest pumpkin I've ever seen. What a super jack-o'-lantern it will make. Thank you, aunts. Yeah, that is a big pumpkin. Start carving it, urged Aunt Icky. Give it a scary face, suggested Aunt Ticky. Make it really spooky, said Aunt Vicky. Carefully, Teeny began to hollow out her jack-o'-lantern. Halloween is such a fun holiday, Teeny said. There are so many fun things to do. Halloween is special, agreed Aunt Icky. It's an important day for us, said Aunt Ticky. It's the day that all the witches ride, said Aunt Vicky. Teeny Witch stopped working. Do we have to ride tonight? She asked. I don't like that part of Halloween. The Teeny Witch glanced over at her magic broom. It was really a nice little broom, but she did not like flying. So she's thinking about flying. Soaring through the clouds on a wobbly broom scares me, Teeny said. I don't like to fly. We don't like it either, Aunt Icky admitted, but we have to ride on Halloween, Aunt Ticky nodded. It's a rule, she said. That's right, agreed Aunt Vicky. Rule number 13 states, witches must ride on Halloween night, or else. Or else what? Asked Teeny. No one knows, answered Aunt Icky. But you can bet it's something awful, said Aunt Ticky. That's why witches ride on Halloween, said Aunt Vicky. No one wants to find out what that awful or else is. Teeny Witch sighed and carved her pumpkin's mouth into a frown. Oh, all right, she said, I'll ride tonight, but I won't like it. Aunt Ticky laughed. She went to the door. I'm going into the garage, she said. I have lots of work to do before tonight. Teeny wondered what was going on. Aunt Ticky had been working in the garage for weeks. It was all very strange. But since her odd aunts always acted strange, Teeny didn't give it much thought. She just kept working on her pumpkin. There, said Teeny Witch. My jack-o'-lantern is all finished. How does it look? Oh, it looks awful, said Aunt Icky, and she made a sour face. It's really ugly, said Aunt Vicky. We love it. Teeny put her jack-o'-lantern out on the front porch, and then she went back inside to help her aunts pack treat bags. They stuffed bags with candy, cookies, taffy, gum, and other tasty things. Ding dong bong. When they were done, Ticky stacked the treat bags on a tray, and she put the tray near the front door. And the job was finished just in time. Ding dong bong, went the doorbell again. Teeny opened the door. There stood a cowboy wearing a big hat, a pretty ballerina in a pink dress, and a funny clown. Trick or treat, stinky feet, we want some something good to eat, the 3 trick-or-treaters shouted. How are your treats? Said Teeny Witch. She gave each one a treat bag. Oh, thank you, said the trick-or-treaters. I like your costumes, said Teeny Witch. Your witch costume is nice too, said the pretty ballerina. Teeny giggled. She wasn't even wearing a costume. All you need is a broom to make your costume perfect, said the cowboy. You should get one before you march in the parade tonight. Teeny was puzzled. What parade? She asked. Don't you know about the big parade? Asked the funny clown. Teeny shook her head. There's a big Halloween parade tonight, said the clown. All the kids in town are marching in it. The ballerina nodded. There'll be bands and floats and prizes and lots more, she said. The parade is a safe way for everyone to have fun on Halloween night, added the cowboy. I wish you could march in the parade. I wish I could, said Teeny. Well, you can march with us, said the little clown. And you can trick-or-treat with us too, said the pretty ballerina. Hooray! Shouted Teeny Witch. I'll ask my aunts if I can go. And she dashed off into the kitchen to speak to her aunts. Can I go, can I? Teeny asked. Aunt Vicky looked at Aunt Vicky. Aunt Icky looked at Aunt Vicky. Aunt Vicky looked at Aunt Icky. Oh, well, Teeny said again. What's your answer? Why not? Teeny asked. Because tonight is a special night. It's the night the witches ride, Aunt Icky reminded her. Teeny gulped. I forgot. I'll be back in time for our ride. Teeny picked up her broom and joined her new friends. She told them she couldn't march in the parade with them. Don't be sad, said the ballerina. Trick-or-treating will be lots of fun. Let's go. Teeny Witch and her friends went from house to house. Every time a door opened, they shouted, trick-or-treat! At the house with lots of spooky decorations, they got candy bars. At the next house, a friendly man gave them each a shiny coin. Ooh. At another house, a nice lady gave them all packs of bubble gum. Soon their bags were filled with all sorts of goodies. Before the long, full moon was high in the sky. It's almost time for the parade, said the cowboy. Oh, and it's time for me to go home, said Teeny Witch. Oh, goodbye, Teeny, said the ballerina. Goodbye and thanks, called Teeny as she walked away. Teeny Witch grumbled all the way home. I wish there was no rule number 13, she said. I don't want to go for a ride on Halloween night. When Teeny got home, she found Aunt Icky and Aunt Vicky waiting on the porch. They had their brooms ready. Teeny put her treat bag in the house, and then she came back out with her broom, and it was then that she noticed something was missing. My jack-o'-lantern, she cried. Where is it? Ask Aunt Ticky, said Aunt Icky. She's by the garage, said Aunt Vicky. They both giggled as Teeny Witch walked toward the garage. Are you ready for our Halloween ride? Aunt Ticky asked Teeny. Yes, said Teeny Witch with a sigh, but where's my pumpkin? We're taking it for a ride with us, laughed Aunt Ticky, and she pulled open the garage doors. This is what we're riding on? Teeny Witch couldn't believe her eyes. In the garage was a Halloween float. It was scary, spooky, and wonderful. And right in the middle of the float was Teeny's giant jack-o'-lantern. How cool is that? I made it myself, said Aunt Ticky. That's why you couldn't march in the parade, said Aunt Icky. You're going to ride in the parade on this float with us, said Aunt Vicky. Oh boy, shouted Teeny as they all hopped on the float. But what about rule number 13? Oh, don't worry about that, said Aunt Icky. The rule only says we have to ride on Halloween night. It doesn't say what we have to ride on, said Aunt Vicky. True. So we're all going to ride on the Halloween float, said Aunt Ticky. And she started the float's motor. Zoom! Off they drove toward town. What a great night it turned out to be. Everyone loved the scary witch float. Teeny even got to wave to her new friends. Oh, there they all are. It was the greatest Halloween ride of all. And the best part was the witch float won first prize. You see the blue ribbon, first prize. Happy Halloween. Awesome. It was a wonderful end for Teeny Witch. I hope you enjoyed reading that with me, friends. I sure enjoyed reading it with you. Stay tuned. I will have many more October books coming up right here on Storytime with Miss Holmes. Bye for now.